All right, good morning, gang. Coming to you this morning to talk about asset manager procedures and breakage. What you're seeing here on my screen is a document that was put together last November, and this is the steps that I need for each of the ILAs to go through to make sure that when we incur damage, when a student or a staff member brings us something that's been damaged, what is it that we need to mark and how is it that we need to mark those things in Asset Manager. So to begin with, I've got an example here, or a layout here, which when I created this document, the idea was this is what we would do for chargers. So primarily I'm looking at breakage of chargers because that's probably the most frequent thing that we're going to experience over the next several months and the next couple years. So to begin with, you're going to do an asset status and scan the barcode of that item in question. All right, and there are only two statuses. Actually, there's four here that I've listed, but available and in use are the two that are going to be always available or always in use, so to speak. Something's either going to be in inventory and ready to be checked out, or it's going to be in use. There's really only two that you need to mark when you have something come in. Retired means that that unit is no longer going to be used, and we may or may not send that to Apple for a claim/refund. If it's not working anymore and it has no cosmetic damage of any kind, we can send that back to Apple and get a refund, a claim. If it's dog chewed and the cord shot, that's also going to be retired. If it's something that comes in with damage that is working but it needs a little bit of tech repair, some tape or whatever, that's going to get the classification of out for repair. So really there's only two things you're going to change it from. You're going to change it to retired or out for repairs. The retired one is primarily what you're going to use for that. There's a list of these down here that we're not going to use, so just ignore those. Going down to condition. If it's usable, there's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. If it's unusable, that means the dog chewed it, the cord shot, bare wires are exposed. We're not going to put this back into use. Everything else falls under the damage category. So the damage category would mean it needs repaired. It means it's going to be sent to Apple for a refund. It has something on it that for the rest of its lifespan, we want to know that this thing has some damage, and so when we check it out to another kid, it's already been marked as damaged. And then that brings in the next step, and that is the notes that we leave. I'd like for each person to put in their notes, and it's a circulation note. It's a note on the item itself, the date of the incident, followed by your first name. Simply put a return in. So on the next line underneath the date, put in a very brief description. All right, and so here is an example of what I'm talking about. I've done an asset scan on a charger here. I'm first going to go to edit item. I also should say that the item will have to be checked in before you can do this step. So if need be, check the item in, then go to asset status and get to this screen where you edit the item. So we're going to change the status. This is one that was broken. Physically, the end of the cord was sheared off. So I'm going to go to retired because we're retiring it. Its condition is not usable. It's damaged, but it's damaged to the point where it's unusable. So unusable is what I mark. And then I hit save at this point. Now, I'm not done yet. The next step is putting an asset note into the item. All right, so today's date, followed by my name. I put a return in, and then I put my note in. And then I save. So that circulation note that I just put in will stay on that item. Now, if I'm throwing this item away, which I am, it's going to go to the dumpster. We are not going to use this number again. That's going to stay in our database so that we have record that number 41 was damaged on this date and it's no longer used. All right. When we buy new chargers, we will continue adding to the number scheme, number 42, 43, 44 on down the list, until we stop using these power cords. All right. We have plenty of numbers. We'll never run out of numbers. I don't worry about that part. All right. The key thing is that we have a note on there so we know what happened with that item and we know what the damage is. If the item was a MacBook, for example, and I'm gonna use the high school here once again as my example. Here's an item that's checked out to someone. If this had some type of damage done to it, I would see circulation notes down here at the bottom of what happened, what repairs were done. When we put our notes in, Justin follows up in Asset Manager and puts notes in the same way that we do, saying what that item is or what pieces of that item were repaired, so that we have a historical record looking back anytime we would scan the barcode of that item. Now, it only shows us the current checkout and previous checkout. It does not show us the historical, all 6 or 7 kids that have had that item in their hands or in their possession at any one time. That's under the view history if you care to dig that deep, all right, or if you need to dig that deep. So once again, back to procedures. You're going to change the status to retired or out for repairs. You're then going to change the condition to damaged or unusable. And the name of this document, Asset Manager Procedures Breakage, should be shared with you in your Google Docs. In a previous video, I went through how to do the charger spreadsheet for damages, for claims, I should say, for claims through Apple, so that's a separate video. Each building has a damage tracker. Here's the high school one. I also have a video going through the damage tracker and how to put your information in there. Column F here is the column that I would put the asset note that I put into Asset Manager in. So if I back up here, I can simply copy my note that I put in from Asset Manager and put that note in on my damage tracker spreadsheet. All right. Let's go back and grab the number and the name. So, any questions? Take a look at this document, print it out. It might be handy to have that at your circ desk, so when you do take in damage situations, you know how to mark things. So, best of luck.